Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are present for the Richmond One Board of School Commissioners work session. Today is Wednesday, July the 6th, 2020.
How we approach and how we say those types of things. So
mention that happens. That's what I would like to see happen. Dr. Withers, do you have any thoughts on that?
just process what you were saying.
Well, I welcome that as well. And then the last thing that I would like to say is I was listening to Commissioner Harris, and of course it's always sad and concerning when you hear stories of bad experiences from our students when they feel like they're not treated fairly. And so, Dr. Withers, I think we need to be able to put really a finger on that and what does it really look like and how we can quantify it. And then we need to focus on what
we can double down a little bit more into the specifics and things of that nature, because yes, we do want to empower all students, but we got to make sure that all is fair and consistent. It can't be, Johnny can have this, but then this area gets the crumbs that fall from the master's table, and that's figuratively speaking. We have to make sure that we are operating in a spirit of excellence as a district, and that what we do is fair and consistent to everyone. And I'm going to yield to Mr. Bishop, Commissioner Bishop, because he's had his hand up, and then Mr. Divine. I want to offer up some suggestions that I've written down as we move forward, since you've asked me to kind of tackle this, and I don't mind doing this because I do serve as the president of the state's Black Caucus of school board members, and I am hearing this not just here, but to get bombarded with this stuff lately is alarming. So, Mr. Bishop.
Yeah, one of the things I discovered, and I hope everyone else has come to this reality, and this pandemic didn't care who you were in your level of degree, classism, your color of your skin, what house you stayed at. It made sure they made everyone realize you're human. And I think that it didn't necessarily say who was superior, who was inferior. That's a huge lesson for us as a board to take into the conversation of what does this broad topic look like. And let me break it down to what I see already. Some things are systematic and some things are structural. And when you think of systematic, let's talk about the system of education. So when we look at the system of education, it's right. There's some level of inferiority there where I'm willing to teammate with this board to speak to the State Department about what we're teaching Black kids.
Hey Siri, set a timer for 25 minutes.
See, Richland County wasn't the only school system that dealt with that assignment.
25 minutes.
It's a statewide issue. Well, why not be leaders and say we're going to confront this and say that we're not going to teach fourth graders. Do you want to be a slave master or a slave?
That's right.
Why not let them be a business owner and a customer? Why not let them be the president and a citizen?
Mm-hmm.
We got to change the dynamic, because when you teach a fourth grader something at that level, systematically, they think they're inferior. Because the slave doesn't look like a person of a different tone of skin as I am. Slave often looks like Aunt your mama, Uncle Ben. If you have been reading the paper, that's going to change. So let's just talk about it a little further, because as an education system, what are we teaching our children? What do we really want them to know? We want them to know that they're humans, and we want them to know that they're inferior. And the other part that we need to discuss, because it is a broad topic, this organization called Richland School District 1 is an education system, and you know what else it is? It's an economic engine. If you want to talk about social injustice, then we got to bring economics to the table.
Right.
So when we start having that courageous conversation, you have to ask yourself, board members, do we literally have people who are coming to the table to do business with the district who are called inferior because they're called minority? Why do we want to let them be minority? Let's call it what it is. It ain't minority, it's black. And because they're black, they're called inferior. I think that we need to really consider what we're doing in our procurement process. Now, I think the goal was to have 1,500% of our controllable dollars to go to minority contracts. Which means we're saying you're inferior and you're only getting this amount. We need to consider what that looks like, where in these times, should we be doing better? I'll bring an example to the table as we're having this conversation. I remember when a black man on Broadway Road was told or instructed to go back and get his license out the car, I believe. And he reached back to go get it. He got gunned down. He got shot. And that happened right here in Columbia, South Carolina, on Broadway Road in recent years. Well, as a courageous leader, I called Sheriff Leon a lot. I think Chief Holbrook had just become the chief of police. We called the State Highway Patrol, and we began to question cultural sensitivity. We started asking the question, do your people operate in fear? And then we went on further to make it more germane to what I just said about inferiority. What does your police force look like? Because Columbia, I think at that time, was 63% black. And the police force didn't look like our community. It didn't look like the city. So we had to really have a courageous conversation of what can you do to diversify your police force so that some people can understand some people, if that makes sense, or that we can literally see ourselves as we police ourselves. So what I'm going to, my question, Dr. Witherspoon, is back to my original statement before I begin to speak this time. What schools, what hallway, what library, what cafeteria is associated with segregation? I would love to know that. Okay, and then the other thing I want to know is what does our partnerships look like in the procurement process? And should there be something we're doing to make our procurement process, as we are an economic engine, look like our community?
Okay. Commissioner Bishop, you done?
That's it for now.
Yeah, you raised some excellent questions, and Mr. Chair, I do want us to be sensitive to the fact that we've been on since 5, so that's about 4 hours and a half. But again, we needed to start this conversation because there were a lot of parents and employees that shared with me they would be on this call because they wanted and saying, why are they, your child coming to mom and saying, why are y'all fighting? What's going on? Why are y'all acting like that? That's how I feel. So, I hope that we've been able to then say, why are y'all fighting? What's going on? Why are y'all acting like that? That's how I feel. start this conversation, but again, deep dive, going back to something Commissioner King says, broad topic, but we definitely can slice this thing up. We need to talk about sensitivity training, the cultural sensitivity, Mr. Chair. We need to talk about even the minority businesses and the commitment that this district made to make sure and ensure that businesses was treated fair. You don't have to be the big corporation, but if you're a small business doing things well, there are opportunities here. And not to go back and sound redundant, I can tell you just here recently, just some of the battles that we've had amongst ourselves over bringing in businesses. A book comes out and we're fighting a war over a book that the children, folk coming and telling, hey, I got some kids, some parents say this, that, and other. Well, I watch thousands of children. Little small elementary children of this district that didn't care whether the person next to them was black, white, blue, or green, learned STEM, was excited about STEM. We took a grand opportunity for our children and we turned it into something that the community says looked rather racist. I'm just the mailman. I'm telling you what's being said to me. I had folks saying y'all need to go ahead and have an open meeting so we can come. And maybe COVID-19 being here right now, it might be a good thing that we are all doing this virtual. But what I am sharing with the Richmond One Strong team, there are people that are really tired of what they're seeing. They are really tired of what they're experiencing. They trust this district. They trust the leadership of this district. And they just want us to operate in a spirit of excellence. Do right by all children at all times. Do right by the leadership, whether it's the board members, whether it's the superintendent, whether it's his staff. We've got to do right by people because a lot of times, a lot of what we're doing, as they say, you throw your rocket and hide in your hands, it ain't hitting y'all. It's not. I'm just going to tell you what's being said to me. It's not here. They see. And they're sticking a name on it that doesn't make us look good as a system, is all I'm saying. Mr. Bishop, and then I'm going to turn it back over to the chair.
All right. I know we're late, so this will take 1 minute or 2 minutes, Commissioner Harris. Now the Witherspoon, as we consider reopening schools, we might want to consider what to do with our student body to address what may be a temperament. I mean, listen, man, this is right in their hands. They're looking at their phones, seeing this on social media almost every day. Let's just call it what it is, y'all. A black man almost got lynched. Recently. A black man was almost lynched. And so there may be some misunderstanding, some frustration that may need to be addressed before you even consider just putting kids back in school. Like we're talking about putting them back in school and dealing with a virus. You never about the other one. It's another virus.
That's right.
And let's be real about it. There's been situations where I won't call out any athletic program, but where certain children weren't able to play because they didn't go to a certain event, a certain, opportunity. Those wounds are still not healed. And so when people start to associate what they see on TV to what has happened in their community, y'all, this is where leadership is supposed to be leadership. If not, where's our responsibility in it all? Where's our responsibility in it all? I'm going to say it again. You may not remember the voice of your enemies, but you will remember the silence of your friend. Y'all, we need to have this conversation. We're talking about opening schools. You might want to try to help heal and reopen hearts. There's a lot of damage that's been done since, Amy Cooper was in the park saying she was harassed.
That's right.
by a bird watcher. It's a lot of damage that's been done since Ahmaud Arbery was shot in the street.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of damage since a knee was on a man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Why not talk about it, man? We haven't talked about it.
Thank you.
We got a whole community that's looking for leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't talk about it and put things in place to right the ship that's been going on for centuries. And what you say?
Thank you, Commissioner Bishop. I think I saw Commissioner Millen's hand up. And Commissioner Devine, we're going to wrap this up soon. Commissioner Millen.
And I really want to thank you, Commissioner Harrison, you, Commissioner Bishop, for really taking the lead with this and bringing this forward tonight. I only regret that we started it as late as we did, because this is a discussion we really, really do need to have. We need to devote almost 4.5 hours just to this topic. The bottom line is the children that we are tasked with educating, they are the future, and we owe it to them to make sure that we're doing everything within our power to give them every single opportunity to be successful in this world, and trying to change this world for them for the better, so that when they get to the real world, that is a better place for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank you. I think that we need to have another work session like this. Hopefully the next time we're able to have it in person, because I think even in person, it would be an even better opportunity for us to have, to really be able to talk about this, to get to how Richland One can get all the sensitivity training we need at all levels, to make sure any implicit bias does not come through as we're interacting with our children, as we're interacting with our parents across the board. And I am so sorry that any parents or students or anyone has had the unfortunate interactions that you described, Commissioner Harris, because that is unacceptable and it should never happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I would ask Mr. Chairman if we could go ahead, and we don't need to schedule it tonight, but let's go ahead and schedule it, get it on the books in the near future, so that we can continue this discussion and really start looking forward how we can make a positive difference moving forward.
Commissioner Millens, thank you so much for that comment. And let's even take it a step further. Not just ensuring that our students have what they need to be successful, but also our staff, also our Black superintendent. He deserves to be treated fairly. Your fellow colleagues on the board, we need to be treated fairly. And that's all 7. That's not just 1 or 2. It goes beyond the classroom. At the end of the day, I think a lot of y'all are not hearing what I'm saying.
Yes.
I'm telling you what people are seeing on the outside from us.
Right. 7 of us.
We're in this equation as well. So we've got to look at the fair treatment, yes, of our students, that they have every opportunity to be successful. But guess what? I want us to look at every opportunity to ensure that our superintendent is successful as he leads this district, and he makes sure that our students have everything that they need. Every employee of this district, whether it's Dr. Witherspoon staff or the janitor at a school, whether it's the bus driver or the dog catcher. We don't even have one of them. But at the end of the day, everybody. See, when we talk about being Richland One Strong and being a family, it don't just mean the students and their parents. It's the faculty, it's the staff, it's the brain trust of this district, the CEO and his staff, being able to do their job, be professional in doing their job, not being judged or considered incompetent because of the color of their skin, but allowed to do their job and be effective as they lead our children. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones that have the skill set that we need in place to make sure we're making right decisions for Richland One. And in making right decisions for Richland One, that's not just always the children. The children are the end users. They're the receivers of this. We have to make sure our parents feel comfortable in our leadership and not question us. We have to make sure that business owners and people and faith leaders out here that are sharing things of what church members are sharing with them feel comfortable with us. I think Ms. Commissioner Anderson, you said it best. It starts with the head. And the head is Richland One Board of Commissioners. Let it start with us. So yes, Mr. Chair, let's set up the next work session and let's deep dive. We can split this up however it needs to happen, but it has to be talked about because I am telling you, there is a fire out here and it doesn't feel good. It's brewing. And we don't need that. We need to come together and we need to be examples of what true leadership looks like. That I'm not judged because I'm a black girl and Susie's not judged because she's a white girl. But we are judged on the content of our character, how we conduct ourselves as a person and not what we look like when we stand in front of a mirror. So with that, I'm going to leave it alone because we'll talk to 11 o'clock tonight. And I haven't had any dinner. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair. And if we can work on a work session being planned in the near future, after we get schools open, because I know that's the utmost thing right now, I do want to share with everyone that on the 16th, the South Carolina Black Caucus of School Boards will be hosting an African-American, growing up African-American in South Carolina. And there will be participants on this panel that went to school in Richland One. So if you get a chance, you may want to chime in and hear some of these young people's stories, because some of the stuff that has been shared with me is just mind-boggling. But I encourage you, if you can, please join in. There's no cost for it. It's free, but it's going to be a great discussion, and I welcome you all to come and attend. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Are there any more comments or questions, concerns about the social justice piece? Commissioner Anderson.
Yes, Commissioner Devine, I just wanted to echo the sentiments to Dr. Witherspoon regarding just opening up schools, that we do take this into consideration, as this is another form of, I foresee, big form of bullying to potential, and so that's just my echo. I just wanted to make sure I put that statement out there that I foresee a different, greater form of bullying with this pandemic or epidemic. Thank you.
All right. Any other board members? Any other comments at this time?
Chairman Devine, one statement. Let's control our own narrative.
I agree with you, sir. I agree with you. So in closing, since I didn't get a chance to say much, let me just say this. I echo what Commissioner Harris said, Commissioner Bishop said, in that it is already tough being an African American in these United States of America, period. It is tough being in a leadership role in these United States, period. And it's unfortunate that we have people who are supposed to be colleagues and treat you differently because of the color of your skin. And I feel like soon as something happens and there's an attack on black leadership in this state, and well as the school district, and Commissioner Harris said it so well with our superintendent, that there's certain people who don't want to see black leadership do well. This district has pulled itself up by its bootstrap and is doing a great work, as we said earlier, for all students. For all students, not just some, but for all students across this district. And we have done that well. This superintendent has implemented some great things. We do have policies. I'm looking at policy BCA, when it talks about board member codes of ethics and how we're supposed to treat each other as board members. And we're not even doing that. And Commissioner Anderson is so right. It starts with the head. The head leads. We lead this organization. We're the leaders. We're the leaders. And it's unfortunate. There's been incidents and times when things have happened on this board, and board members immediately call the newspaper. Well, and I always got a comment to say. Give me the respect as a man and come to me first and tell me I did something wrong or you didn't like it. Give me that respect. That's the only thing that I ask. As a man, respect me, I respect you. And respect the superintendent and respect the staff. Because there come times when we deal with a lot of stuff. And I know this conversation just started tonight. And some people say, well, it's been going on for 400 years. Okay, well, we're going to start tonight. We're going to continue this. Because as a man, I got a wife. I got 3 beautiful children. I work hard. I'm here for the children of Richmond School District 1 to make this a better community, just like the rest of us. But respect people. That's the only thing that I say to my fellow board members. Respect people. Don't go out and call the newspaper immediately as soon as you hear something or you got an idea or opinion. Respect me. Call me. And this ain't a I got you. We in this together as a board to move forward. We may disagree, and that's okay. That's what this is about. We disagree, say the disagreeable thing, and we move on. But don't go out here, if you look at the code of ethics, don't go out here and go against what the majority says. Now, we all raised our hand on the Bible and said that we give an oath to God, basically. And some of us are violating our own oath already. But again, we have a board policy that says what we're going to do. I would encourage you to start with that board policy. BCA, let's look at that board policy. Let's see how we can improve it. I think it's a good board policy. The board looked like in 2012, but it can be improved upon. And then it talks about how we deal with the superintendent and his staff. It talks about that. Treat people with common decency. Respect the process. Give the superintendent and his administration the professional courtesy to make decisions. Act upon the recommendations with respect, with the amount of information that you need. So I look forward to this conversation. We need to open schools, and I agree with Mr. Bishop, there is something brewing out here. We need to be prepared for that when and if schools open, because there's an undercurrent in this community that is about to explode. There's going to be some people that's going to get caught in the crossfire. When they do, what I can tell you is, you better hold on. Better hold on. So with that said, again, let's not second guess the superintendent. If we got questions, let's ask him. Email it. Call him. Let's say that I got you. We're in this together. We're trying to make the best environment for our young people because they're our tomorrow. They're 25% of our current population, but 100% of all of our future. 100% of all of our future. And if we don't start with us, then when does it start? When does it start? And education got to be our top priority. So with that said, are there any other topic concerns on this one topic? Because if not, we're going to go ahead and close this out and find my agenda. Make sure that I don't think there's any other items on the agenda. So what we will do is set up another meeting. We'll send you all some dates as we've done in the past, and we'll get those dates out to you. If you respond to those, if you got questions again for the reopening or opening of schools, please get those to Dr. Wood's school within the next week so that he and staff can. Dr. Wood, is a week good, or you need how much time do you need?
No, that'll be fine. We can get us the feedback and all.
So let's say, I tell you what, let's say by next Tuesday is July the 14th by 12 p.m. If board members can get those questions to Dr. Witherspoon, because you're going to need time to answer those, put those on the website so we can move forward as a district and as an organization. And again, thank you all again for this work session. I think it was an excellent work session. Got a lot of work to do. Let's continue to move forward. Let's continue to do what's right for our children. Let's continue to do right as each other. Let's respect each other, y'all. Call me. Everybody on this board got my number. Pick up the phone and call me. I've called you sometime and you didn't answer the phone. But it's okay. It's okay. So with that said, if there's no other business need coming before this board, without objection, we all stand adjourned. Thank you all so much and have a good evening.